What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Average Bob, and in today's show, we're going to have a good episode and kind of a podcast style format, talking about some recent updates in Giants land. Eli not getting his first, being a first ballot Hall of Famer, his first chance up for eligibility for the Hall of Fame. And then we'll also just talk quickly about the Chiefs and the Eagles Super Bowl. I'll give some of my, POV on this and just some rationale into, any sort of bets I'll be doing. First and foremost, my last video about Saquon and how the Giants failed him, I had a ton of views on it. A lot more people new to the channel. Just wanted to reintroduce myself as we had just finished season 3 on the channel. I'm Average Bob. I'm a diehard Giants fan. Been a football fan my entire life. Played football and when I was younger, middle school, high school, college. And now I'm using my channel to talk about the Giants, what we could do to bring the Giants back to glory. And it's been a rough few seasons. So first and foremost, I do want to bring out a special guest, Eli Manning, dear friend of the show and the program. And here he is over here. First and foremost, Eli, thank you for coming on the show. I know it's been a tough week. Not getting into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Just want to hear your thoughts on that. Man, I gotta say, Bob, it's kind of bullshit if you ask me, but it'll be fine. I'll get in at some point. Thanks so much for joining, Eli. We'll just put you in the back in the podcast room where the rest of the folks who live listeners will be able to hang out and do a Q&A and some autographs after the show. And just another quick update. I did want to do a lot more draft related content, but in terms of availability, as this is a hobby channel of mine, there is a newest draft pick coming into our family very shortly, having another girl. So there isn't going to be as much time as I would like to focus around the upcoming draft with the Giants for the third overall pick. So I think leading up to the draft, I'll put out more videos that and what I say in these videos are going to stand through the draft, or up to the draft, and hopefully I could do a reaction after we do take whoever we do. But just time's going to be a lot more limited. But we do have some good content coming up. I do want to do a video into Victor Cruz. I want to do one into potentially Jackson Dart. There also have been 2 quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks that have been at the forefront of Giants talk recently, and Matthew Stafford and Jameis Winston. So those are potential intriguing options as well. And then what else did I want to do? Yeah, we'll do a full draft preview and post it and stuff. But just wanted to let you know that, it's not going to be as frequent as the regular season was. There's just, not enough time and energy to focus on that. But we are going to have some good stuff over the coming weeks and months. So if you join the channel, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you. And for the Saquon video that I did, I said I wasn't going to talk about it anymore, but it just popped in my mind. And this is my first video since. It was the algorithm just found it was a shitload of Eagles fans. So pretty annoying to deal with all of their comments and their just pure happiness of us giving up Saquon to them pretty much. So it is what it is. Obviously, maybe I'm just wearing red all week by somehow in my mind just understanding that I have to be rooting for the Chiefs. So let's dive into things and talk about Eli Manning's first opportunity to get into the Hall of Fame, which he did not get in. I think the Hall of Fame is very strict with first ballot Hall of Fame people that get in on their first eligibility to get in. And Eli, I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 Super Bowl championships, and but I do think there is some argument against it, and I could talk to the other side of that. I don't necessarily believe he was a top 5 player in his position, for an extended period of time. Top 10 for sure, maybe floating in that range of top 5, but not necessarily like in ever an MVP conversation. So I do think maybe you do need to be like win an MVP or be close enough to that. But quarterback is the toughest position in sports, and I think to that extent, I don't think you should get in because you played the most amount of games without getting injured as a quarterback. But I think that is a feather in his cap, especially as us Giants fans have watched over the last few seasons, that it's hard to stay healthy playing quarterback. And more than ever nowadays, there are way more protections to for player safety and ensuring that these guys can make it through a whole season, and none of them can. So it's even more kudos to Eli that he was able to, in the first half of his career, he did have a great offensive line. Let's not sugarcoat things. And in the back half, it got really wonky. So he had to surrender with a lot of self sacks. But again, it's longevity in this game and your ability to make money and live a long and happy life after the football days are over. And Eli was unbelievably successful at that. Now, I'm not saying that should get you into the Hall of Fame if you play a certain amount of games, but I just do want to add and give credence to the durability that he had throughout his career. And it is funny, I think, when you look like when he had 100, like I think 13 wins and 113 losses, it is a perfect microcosm for his career. Obviously, there was greatness at times. Obviously, there was really, poor play at times. So I think that's probably why he didn't get in first ballot. Is there any doubt in my mind that he won't get in the future? No, he will be wearing a gold jacket. I will be watching that speech. And I just miss him, like just watching how bad the Giants have been since him and Coughlin have really left. Like there's flashes, there's good players who come and go, but having a quarterback who is the leader of the team and the franchise and be core to your identity, is I think crucial and paramount for success in the sport. And having a good team helps too. But I'll always love Eli. He will get in the Hall of Fame. This is just one step in the process of doing it. And I think I hopefully added a little bit more clarity to why he possibly didn't get in here. Is it right? No, but that's what the voters saw it. So I think they'll obviously make amends for it at some point in the future. And just like, what that Manning family has done for the game is kind of crazy. It's almost like ambassadors for the sport. They've all been Eli and Peyton, very marketable players. They won championships. And genuinely, like, they just seem like overall good people. They're not, like Antonio Brown or Tyreek Hill that are always in the news for like terrible things. And you're like, oh man, these guys are cringe. Like, why do we keep giving them the air time? And it just looks bad on the sport. I think it waters it down when you have nut jobs. I mean, you have nut jobs anywhere in any line of work in any profession, but when you give the loudest voice to some of them, I think it makes people look bad. Let's talk about the upcoming Super Bowl between the Chiefs going for a three-peat and the Eagles, who I hate just about as much on planet Earth as any other team besides the New York Islanders. I will say I actually despise the Islanders as a team as much as their fans. And it's not the same for me for the Eagles. I actually respect the hell, and I've said this on this channel for years, many of the players on this team. Saquon, respect him. He did what was best for his family, and he won Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year last night. Jalen Hurts, he was someone who was told to kind of kick bricks in college, and you know what? He could have been a baby about it. He got drafted in the second round, and he's had a phenomenal career, I think, so far. He's a leader. He doesn't bitch. He doesn't complain. He plays the game the right way. I'm a fan of him. Let's be completely honest. And the rest of those guys seem like great guys too. Besides AJ Brown, AJ Brown seems like a nut, but Devontae Smith seems good, like a guy the Giants should have had. And I'll always think of it when I see him. Goddard, great offensive line. It's really your MO for like a likable team. Now the fans are just the absolute one of the worst fan bases in sports, and just like in terms of just being terrible people and what they do to others at games in the stadiums outside, whether they win or lose. I'm sure they'll riot this weekend. Like a really weird, wonky fan base, and they're passionate. I'll give them that. Not many girls in the New York tri-state area you could walk up to and ask them about a sports team. But if you walk around Philly and you probably ask them who's the second baseman on the Philadelphia Phillies, they'll tell you the last five. So definitely a passionate fan base. Not the best people, which made me, and their obnoxiousness makes me hate them and want to root against them as much as I already hate them as a divisional rival. But again, I just do want to caveat that I do respect a lot of the players on that team, 100% without a doubt. Great, phenomenal football players that I wish were on my team. So that's probably like an envious side of it as well. So going into this one, and I do understand the hatred that everyone has for the Chiefs. Because watching their games in the roll up to the Super Bowl, they do get a lot of bullshit calls. The slides that Mahomes does, I think it was in the Texans game, just egregious. Um, the flags, they're constant. They're like very. It reminds me of LeBron in the NBA a lot, like or European like world class soccer players, where they're constantly going to the ref after every play and looking for a call. Like, why aren't you calling that? Why aren't you calling that? Like, that adds up. The media shows it, and I think it's unfortunate because I think it takes away from how good Patrick Mahomes is and how Andy Reid is, because I just hate the crybaby side of things where they're constantly bitching and looking for calls, and they're gonna do it on Sunday. I'll tell you that right now. And people talk about Coach of the Year or MVP. I don't really like. I don't think Mahomes had one of his best years, and he didn't really have. It was more of a team effort that it looked like this year in terms of having superstar weapons playing at the best of their abilities. In years past, where they had Tyreek Hill doing whatever the hell he wants against opposing defenses, or Kelsey usually has a way better season, but I think he's like my age. He's getting towards the end. He's slowed down tremendously, and I think he only had. I traded for him in my fantasy league, and like, damn, he like really had a crazy fall off of like I think 2 or 3 touchdowns this year. So he's been a non-factor. So I think a lot of the kudos has got to go to Mahomes and Andy Reid. The offensive line has gotten better, but I don't think it's great. And then they have all of these playmaker weapons that someone's going to show up in the biggest point of this game between Hopkins, Xavier Worthy is someone they love. You watch the games, they're giving him reverses, they're running screens to him, they're constantly trying to get him involved in their offense, which he could be a game breaker in this one as well. And then like even a guy like Juju, like who's to say he can't go off in a big moment either. And then I think the biggest change for the Chiefs, honestly, has been their defense is I think finally good. It was so many for years past where it was their offense having to score 30 plus points a game, winning, and having a close game because the defense would give up so much. Their defense looks good, so it's gonna be. I'm very interested to see how they try to stop Saquon because let's be honest, no one has done it this postseason. That's for sure. That's why the Eagles are sitting pretty in the chance to win a Super Bowl, the second in their dynasty or franchise. It would be funny if the Eagles are winning at halftime again and then completely just let wide receivers run naked all over the field for the Chiefs to come back, and then they lose on like a pass interference, like what happened a couple of years ago. Like, blame the refs. The Chiefs get all the calls. Well, there's multiple plays earlier in the game where you let guys run wide open and get back into it. So let's be honest. The Eagles are good. They're going to be good for a very long time. The Saquon deal has put them in a position to carry a Lombardi trophy on Sunday night by like 9 or 10 o'clock. And that makes me obviously sick to my stomach to think about. And it also just needs to be said and shown how far away a team like the Giants are from truly competing against this. And this is something that was obviously known 2 years ago when the Eagles beat the Giants 3 times in a season. But now more than ever, you could see, how guys can be successful with a good offensive line. You don't have to take a quarterback in the first round if you don't have to. You could take a guy in the second round like Jalen Hurts and, allow them to build and grow over time and cater the offense to their needs, which I don't think the Giants have done a good job of that. Obviously, from a drafting offensive lineman position, you have a Hall of Fame offensive tackle, Lane Johnson. The guy's played, 12 or 15 years now or something stupid. Doesn't miss any games. Pretty much plays every game. And the Giants can't even have Andrew Thomas be healthy for a full season, and they throw cash at him. So the spread in this one, I got it at 1.5 originally for the Chiefs. And I can't really tell you what to do in this one from like a betting perspective. because back in December, I'm friends with some Eagles fans that are literally the most obnoxious group of assholes imaginable. Um, and I started getting the wheels thinking in my head that once they were like really hyping up how good the Eagles defense is, that was a little nerve wracking for me. So I did put in a futures bet for the Eagles win the Super Bowl pre Christmas. I think it was like plus 450 or something around that range. So I do have a future on the Eagles for that, and I'm just gonna hedge on the Chiefs money line. So I'll just make a little bit, whatever, and guarantee myself to be a winner. Sometimes that's what the book says. You can let things ride or whatever, but I'm going to just let it go out a winner after my Aaron Rodgers and Daniel Jones comeback player of the year bets didn't hit last night. Um, but also back in October when Saquon started balling out on the Eagles, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot let this happen without making any sort of money on it. So I got him, I think like 3.5 to 1 to win Offensive Player of the Year back in October. So obviously, then the odds were going in his favor tremendously. So that pretty much canceled out my Jones, Rodgers, and then I also did Brock Purdy and Joe Burrow for MVP because there was some value there. But I just do want to finish up with saying I am very nervous about how this game's going to go. I, again, hate the Eagles. It's just, I don't know. I have to root for the Chiefs. Go Mahomes, go Chiefs, go, whatever they say. I think it's going to be close. I think the Chiefs haven't played as good of a complete team as they are about to play this weekend. Can Steve Spagnuolo stop or limit the effectiveness of Saquon Barkley? That will tell you how this game is going to go. If Saquon's going off for 150 yards, 200 yards, then the Eagles, I think, will have a very, very strong chance to win this game. Let me know what you guys think how this game's going to go. And if you guys have any prop bets, I'll probably throw in an Xavier Worthy prop because I feel like the Chiefs hammer him to get him involved in the offense because he's so fast. So I'll post that in the comments with whenever I make a determination there. I just haven't thought about it yet. But with that, let's jump over to Reddit mailbag. Jumping over to Reddit mailbag. Anyone conflicted about this game should go find another team to root for. Yeah, I would have to agree. Yeah, we're gonna need to see a Chiefs three-peat. And I know this bothers a lot of Patriots fans too, right? Because they don't want to see their dynasty or what Tom Brady has done be weakened by anyone else. And Mahomes really seems like the only person or the next person that has an opportunity to do something with that. He's not even 30 years old. It's just a matter of how long Andy Reid and them could stay together. Malik Neighbors, if we draft a quarterback, I'd want a veteran in the same room. This is great understanding from Malik Neighbors. I think that would be great. When the Giants drafted Eli way back when, Kurt Warner was there. It is helpful to have a veteran presence there or just having some sort of competition and just someone who can come in and that they could learn from to see what it takes to be an NFL quarterback because it's not easy. It's a huge difference from college to the pros, and everyone says that, and it's helpful to learn. The next up is some Jameis Winston stuffs from like who should sign me in free agency. Saquon Barkley responds, I think the Giants need a quarterback right now. Let me be totally transparent. I absolutely love Jameis Winston. He's almost like Eli a little bit in terms of like, he even more so of a crazy gunslinger at least, but like where he would throw for 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It's funny to watch. And I've just personally always liked him. I've listened to him on podcasts. I just enjoy Jameis and whatever he does next in his career. I always root for. I don't know. He's one of those guys. I can't explain it. So if he comes in and he's got a mentor, a Shador, a Cam Ward, or Jalen Melro, or Jackson Dart, or someone, I couldn't think of anyone better. Jameis is so loyal to a fault. He was saying the most positive things about Deshaun Watson and like crying about it. How like I don't know, because everyone hates Deshaun Watson and his actions prove that he's not a great person. But Jameis saying all these positive things to be in his corner. I don't know. Jameis seems like the ultimate ride or die guy. Whether you're right or wrong, seems like a friend that you'd want. Okay, Eli Manning. Here's a funny meme here. Postseason success of teams called the Giants. 2008, 2014. Since yeah, this is kind of stupid. But it goes back to the when Mike Francesa was back on the radio, and they used to be like, some guy called one time and he's like, "Hey Mike, you think the New York Rangers and the Texas Rangers get together and have a barbecue in the summer and meet up because they have the same name?" And Mike's just like, "What are you What are you What are you doing? What are you talking about?" "Yeah, they have a barbecue together and the Henrik Lundqvist is hanging out with blah 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 and the the great family reunion between the teams." Yeah, it is stupid, but it is kind of funny to think about. um, Well, let's finish on two notes here. Jackson Dart has reportedly started to surpass Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, and Quinn Ewers on the majority of NFL scout boards. A handful of scouts even reportedly have Dart as their QB2, only behind Cam Ward. Eli Manning's a huge fan. I'm going to do a video about this because there is a lot I think that is unique and different about the situation, and that I actually like and could be a fan of. If things go a certain way to start the draft. So more to come on that video. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it. And then next up, Darius Slayton won the Alan Page Community Award. He donated $50K to 24 families in need, partnering with NYPD officers for a celebration, and is donating $100,000 to the Left Hand, Right Hand Foundation in his honor. Darius Slayton, it's great to see him doing amazing things in the community, and being recognized for it, more importantly, because, a lot of guys they always bring up all the negative stuff. So it's nice to see people do positive things that are actually impacting others, and families that need it. And yeah, the more of that, the less of the, stories about people doing bad things. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. More to come soon. Enjoy the Super Bowl, y'all.